AP Andy Wood. What's up?
All right, everybody. How are you doing? At first, I want to praise and thank Allah for giving this channel such a beautiful intro music, which makes it stand out quite clearly in this wicked world where people listen to different things that have nothing to do with Allah. Uh, and yeah, and I also want to say hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to this live stream in which we want to talk about very shocking and very interesting things. As always, viewer discretion is advised. This is only for mature eyes and ears and minds. With that said, hello, David Wood. How are you doing?
Hey, I just realized like so we we use this thing for a little while in a show, but I mean I'm just realizing I got a 4-year-old running around. I got this sitting around. You know what I mean? I mean it does have a safety. You kind of have to push both at once, but
yeah, you better put that away, man.
Yeah, I should probably do something.
You should better put that away. I have this here, which is my personal back scratcher, but I also don't ever have a kid here. And yeah, I scratch my back with this sometimes.
I'm not joking. This is not safe. This is not in any sort of closed room. There's just like a million. I don't know what I'm thinking, man. I don't know how my kids are
terrible
not terribly injured.
Terrible stuff.
Hey, that must mean they're pretty good. They're pretty good because they're not cutting themselves up on this stuff. That's good. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
Yeah. So yes, today we want to talk about quite a few things, and one of those things is concerns a Muslim convert who actually became a Dawa guy after he converted to Islam, and somebody who also that I had a conversation with, and I thought, hey, this guy's actually very reasonable, very nice guy. So,
well, this is actually good news then, AP. I mean, people convert, and then they become super nice people, and yeah. So, what are you complaining about? All this, all your anti-Islamophobe. I mean, your anti-Islam stuff. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. So I personally don't believe that you become a better person and just let go of all the terrible stuff after you convert to Islam. Especially since we're talking about something that is, that is totally sexual, and that is incredibly sick and perverted. In this case, we're talking about. So he was convicted on 2 counts of sexual battery, and one of those charges of sexual battery are sexual battery toward a minor that the offender is a guardian of, which means that the girl that he apparently sexually abused for quite a long time was entrusted to him. He was he's the parent or the step parent or otherwise a guardian. And as far as I know, going further into the details, we're talking about a stepchild here, a daughter of his then wife, who is not his own daughter. I think that's what has been happening. So we can actually bring up the explanation that comes from his former wife, who brought up the accusations. Right? You sent me that. Let's find it here. So we have a fundraiser, by the way, organized by the former wife of this child molester by the name of Khalilullah, or Justin Downing. She organized a fundraiser a long time ago. Didn't get much attention and much help. David and I thought it would actually be very, very good to promote the fundraiser here in order to support her, because she explains her struggles there very clearly. I will quickly put this into the chat.
And let me just go ahead and say here, ladies and gentlemen, we obviously have problems with Islam. We obviously are horrified by a lot of things that Islam teaches, and when it comes to Islamic teachings about marrying little girls and so on, we do like to criticize Islam because of this, because we believe these things are actually bad. In my case, I in addition to all that, I believe Muhammad's a false prophet who who was here to lead people down a horrible path. With all of that said, you want to be careful in situations like this where a guy does something horrible. Um, One, even according to Islam, he should not be molesting his stepdaughter.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And two, um, you don't want to, you certainly don't want to throw it in face of mother, because I mean she's one of the victims here. I mean, he molested her daughter, so
Yeah.
you don't want to be nasty about that. In fact, I mean, you got to give her credit. You got to give her credit. It's difficult. It's difficult to step forward and point out something that your husband has done. One, if you're looking at it from an Islamic perspective, this is why people who have a religious background often are able to get away with stuff. People are worried about reporting it because they don't want embarrassment coming down upon their religion and so on. And so, like the child abuse cases in the Catholic Church, a lot of that was people don't want to make these things public because it would bring shame on their church and so on, when in reality someone eventually, you got to do it eventually, because that's the only way to stop it. You got to call these things out. And so on the one hand, got to be difficult for the woman, because here's my husband, he's a public convert to Islam and a da'i, and he's on YouTube, and this would be embarrassing, so that's got to be difficult because of that. But also, as a mother, that if your husband goes to jail over this stuff, well, he's no longer there to support you and your kids anymore. And so, like there are women who, even after they get beaten or something like that, don't want their husband to go to jail. They say, hey, stay away from me, but they still want child support or alimony or something like that. So it can be rough knowing, hey, I have to do the right thing here, but this actually causes further hardships on the family, because now
Mhm.
the husband's just gone. So anyway, point is, hats off to her. No ill will towards her in any of this. She did the right thing. And
Yeah, I personally thought I shouldn't even talk about this. I shouldn't tweet about this. Shouldn't do
I thought
anything
about
about
it
this.
too. I thought about it too. Yeah.
But I thought it's none of my business. Things happen around the world. I could condemn it. That's it. I should move on. But then I thought it is a person that I was personally in contact with, that I posted on my channel about, that I praised on my channel. It is a person who was active in the online Dawa community, who talked about me, about David, about other critics of Islam. Somebody who was promoted by all these other Dawa guys, and just, you are aware of this person. This person has done some horrible stuff. There's also a detail which we will talk about in a little bit, where that guy actually said some horrible things about David Wood, and I'm going to bring that up and watch that video.
Yeah,
So
I remember there's a clip circulating by someone. I didn't know until you just told me right when we were about to go live. You're like, hey, that's the guy who said, I didn't know that was the
yeah,
same dude.
yeah.
But no, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? So he's talking trash about me, and then he gets locked up for being a child molester. Can you imagine if these situations were reversed, and I were talking trash about him, and then I got exposed for some horrible crime? What would the champions of Dawa be saying?
They would be all over this.
He threatened an eye, and now he's been exposed by the great God Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And yet, you know, it's it's the reverse. And
They won't sit down and now make videos which they would normally do, that say, um, Allah has exposed this filthy whatever, but they would immediately do the same thing if one of us did such a terrible thing.
yeah,
So
actually, the,
yeah,
the only things I've seen is like he's still denying it. Like
yeah,
Muslims are still denying stuff. Not all of them. I mean, obviously, people have called him out. His own wife called him out, and so on. But I've seen just Muslims in the comments and so on. No, yes, it's all false. It's all false.
yeah. So I want to quickly get into what the wife shared, before then moving on to watching a few clips here. So I want to share this once again. This GoFundMe fundraiser is called Help for Jasmine Downing, and I mean, this is the she explains what exactly happened to you. You can I shared the link in the chat. It is pinned. You can go there and support her if you want to. I will quickly read what she had to say. And this fundraiser was started quite a while ago. It was started in January 14, 2022. So it's been a
Yeah,
long time.
that was back when that was back at some point when she like turned him in and
Yeah, yeah.
before all the before he's actually found guilty and so on.
Yeah, yeah, and the update now is by now he has admitted guilt. He has, in front of the court, pleaded guilty and has also been convicted to at least 12 years in prison.
12
So,
years, 12 years of prison dawa.
yeah. So it says, "Hi, my name is Jasmine Downing. You may know me personally, or you may know my now estranged husband, Justin Downing, aka Khalilullah or EA Dawa. By the way, they deleted all the videos from the EA Dawa YouTube channel.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, after this thing happened, which is very interesting, very telling. In November of 2021, I obtained a protection order against Justin due to mental, emotional, and physical abuse. Unfortunately, 5 days later, my child would disclose that he had been sexually abusing her since 2019.
And by the way, notice that because I didn't really pay attention to some of this, but so she wasn't even thinking about she didn't go to the cops over the child molestation. He was abusing her mentally, emotionally, and physically. So he's actually, I mean, you can always have a dirtbag husband, but I mean, that would generally the stuff that she originally went to the police over is exactly what the Quran allows him to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after she got the protection order over the mental, emotional, and physical abuse, that's when she finds out he was also molesting her daughter.
Yeah, that's the messed up detail here. And I don't know, just relate to how she must have felt when that comes out. So 5 days later, my child would disclose that he had been sexually abusing her since 2019. Since then, there has been an investigation and a total of 5 indictments: 1 sexual battery, 2 unlawful sexual misconduct with a minor, 3 sexual battery, 4 sexual battery, 5 rape. On February 23rd, 2023, Justin pled guilty to sexual battery and sexual battery of 2 different counts, different nature. We will come to that in a bit. On April 3rd, 23, Justin was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Oh, this is updated, by the way. I have been left with
yeah, I just wanted everyone to know how because people seem to understand, like with the Andrew Tate situations and so on, people don't understand how the legal system works and so on. If you plead guilty, that doesn't mean that's all you did. That's what the prosecution will offer you in order to avoid a trial, right? And they seem to prefer avoiding trials if they can in cases of minors, because you don't actually want the minor to come and have to testify in court in front of everyone if you can avoid it. And if you're someone like what's the name,
Justin Downing.
Justin, if you're someone like Justin Downing, and you've got all of these different charges against you, and they come up to you and they say, "Hey, plead guilty to these 2 things. You're going to do 12 years." That generally means you knew you did more, and you're taking it because it's a deal.
Yeah, yeah. That's how it works, right? They make you a deal, say, admit to these, at least you will.
Yeah, it's here are these 5 or 7 or whatever charges. Do you want to go to court over these? If you think you can beat them, then you do. If you know they're gonna get you, you take the plea deal. And so
yeah, exactly. I have been left with the responsibility for all of the bills and debt. Obviously, I won't receive child support. Due to mental health concerns and disabilities of my children, I am unable to work and have been unemployed since October 2022. I have even lost my car. I do receive government assistance and help from my mom, but it's not enough. In attempt to better our future, I started online classes in January 2023 to obtain an associate's degree in social work. If you can donate, we thank you. If you can't, can't, please feel free to share. So David and I thought we should do our part here and share this with everybody so that people can donate and support her if they want. And this has been around for quite a while now, and she obviously needs the help. And she's obviously the victim here, and she didn't even know that she's not the only victim, but that their
Yeah.
child is, or even probably the bigger victim here.
Yeah, she doesn't say what I mean, I don't know if she's ever talked about this in videos or something like this, but she says disabilities of my children. So one, that's pretty creepy if he's was molesting a disabled child. But anyway, she says plural disabilities of my children. So I don't know how severe those disabilities are. Could be like autism spectrum or something like that. But as someone with two disabled children, I can say if I were somehow out of the picture, if I got murdered or something like that, or went to prison for some reason, things would be pretty darn rough on my wife. The things would be really, really, really rough on my wife, and she'd be in this situation like you think, why don't you just go, work and so on. I mean, if you've got disabled kids and so on, your point is she's in kind of a nightmare situation. So this would be good to help a woman in this situation.
Absolutely. So this was the wife's perspective and how she shared it. I want to get to the document to get a better understanding of what the legal part of this whole thing is. I also want to quickly address how this issue developed. So the guy apparently did some really terrible stuff at home. Committed sexual abuse, including toward a minor that he is in charge of. You would expect him to, as a Muslim, after he becomes a Muslim, to become righteous and to at least admit to the guilt. But apparently, in an attempt to get away and to suppress this, after these things became public, he started going around and saying that this is just slander. And I have actually one instance of him being questioned on a stream, and here he clearly denies it. And keep in mind, he clearly denies it on the stream while pleading guilty to the court. So let's look at that quickly. I don't hear anything. What's wrong? Oh, okay, yeah.
Child.
Correct.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
that's the charge.
What exactly did you do, Justin?
I didn't do anything.
So why do you have a grand
You hear
jury indicting you for these crimes?
Because when a minor makes a claim of that nature, they should take it seriously, and I totally respect that. But just because somebody made a claim doesn't mean that it's true. Isn't that right, Mr.
So you're
Atheist?
saying that
Hold
a
on,
minor
hold on.
made a
Let's just
claim
go
and
through
that
this reasonably.
a
Let's just
minor
go through
made a
this
claim.
reasonably.
A minor made a claim that you committed sexual battery on him and that you had unlawful sexual misconduct.
No, it's not a him,
Unlawful
it's a
sexual
her.
conduct.
He wants to clarify it's a
minor,
her.
And you're saying because of those claims, you got indicted just because of
This
what
tells
one
me
minor
how-
said.
Sydney, hold on. This tells me how ignorant you are on this. It was never a him that made any claims. Let's go back to Washington because you like to keep bringing that up. There was a case in
He
Washington.
wants to clarify that he's not gay.
Yeah, and and then he wants to go back to a different issue. But here he is clearly pressed on the issue, and he's clearly saying that he didn't do anything wrong. None of this is true. It's just a minor who made a claim, and of course that should be taken seriously. But the claim is wrong, and it never happened. But then he goes to court and basically accepts a deal and pleads guilty to specifically that charge, together with a regular sexual battery charge. He pled guilty to a sexual battery toward a minor charge in front of a court, and has now been sentenced to a minimum of 8 years just over that charge, and more for the other charge.
Yeah, once again, as someone who's spent quite a bit of time in the criminal justice system, not just by myself, but also family members and friends and so on. and just, I mean, I was locked up for years, so you meet thousands of people over the time you're locked up, but you don't take a 12-year sentence in a plea bargain if you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
If he had all those charges against him and they said, we'll offer you a plea bargain for a month if you plead guilty, you could actually say, okay, maybe he didn't do anything and he just wants to avoid it all, and so he would serve a month. If you take a 12-year plea bargain, you have a pretty good idea they were gonna lock you up for a lot longer.
Yeah. So this is the channel EA Dawa that was his channel. He prior to this he had a channel that was actually an atheist channel where he was arguing that Islam is wrong, and then he converted to Islam, and so he was a Christian, then he became an atheist where he argued that religion is wrong and Islam is wrong. Then he converted to Islam and apparently continued with his abuse and all of that in the background. And he was preaching basically that Islam is true and it's great and it's morally great. What's funny is I'm pretty sure he also told me in his conversation with me, that he didn't agree with the Christian morality, with Christian morals.
He obviously didn't, I have to say. So we all agree that he doesn't appreciate Christian.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Whoa.
he said that
Gosh.
that he found Christian morality wrong and wicked, and that was one of the reasons why he didn't want to believe in Christianity any longer. So that's very, very wild here. And then he went to Islam. So here we have a file, which is, by the way, publicly accessible, which somebody else, which actually anyway, I don't want to name him now, but which another YouTuber sent to me, and he drew my attention to this. I knew of the fact that he had a court case and that he pled guilty in the past, but I didn't know that the conviction happened. So this happened, and somebody sent it to me immediately. This is a public record which you can look up. Ohio Butler County Court of Common Pleas, and here it says after quite a few details, the defendant is classified as a Tier 3 sex offender and was given an explanation of his duties as a Tier 3 sex offender. The court finds that the defendant has been found guilty of sexual battery as to count 1, a violation of revised code section so-and-so, a third-degree felony. With respect to this count, the defendant is hereby sentenced to prison for a period of 48 months, which is 4 years. And there is no maximum. It's just straight 48 months. Sexual battery. This is the second one that he's guilty of. Sexual battery as to count 5, a violation of revised code so-and-so, a second-degree felony. And this one here is the sexual battery. I don't know why my mouse is going crazy here. But this one here is the sexual battery against a minor. And with respect to this count, the defendant is hereby sentenced to an indefinite mandatory prison term of a minimum of 8 years to a maximum of 12 years.
Oh, that's actually, I mean, I don't know where are they? It says, did it say Ohio? I don't know.
Yeah, it's Ohio.
I don't know what the specifics are in Ohio, but just based on this, that's at least 12 years, because it says consecutive, but you have consecutive or concurrent. You could get like 5 sentences and they could say we're running them concurrent, meaning you serve your time for each one of them at the same time. So if you got 2 years on one and 2 years on another, it's still just 2 years. If they say consecutive, that means you serve one sentence and then you serve the next sentence after that. So if it's 48 months, so that's 4 years plus another 8 to 12, that's actually 12 to 16 years. But sometimes, I don't know what the specifics are in Ohio as far as parole or I don't know.
Yeah, so that's what the limit here is. So it's 48 months in prison, definitely. After fulfilling the 48 months, he has to serve another minimum of 8 years. So that's a minimum of 12. But that is also with a maximum of 12 years. So I'm not sure how the details of that exactly work out, but he has he will be serving a minimum of 12 years and up to 16 years. And I guess everything can change later on with his behavior and follow-up details, lots of stuff that happened during his prison time. But yeah, so this is what he has been sentenced with. I was a little bit shocked when I saw this, because I thought, I don't know, maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see the details, but
Yeah, and you know, before he pleaded guilty, you would think, okay, you know,
anything
looks bad, but it is always possible that someone made something up. But yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, this is very clear. He's guilty. He has admitted guilt. He has agreed, and he has been convicted and sentenced. So that is happening. I don't know. I had this very dark feeling when I saw this, because I talked to the guy before. He was friendly and all kinds of stuff. He seemed like a genuine person on the internet, discussing with people all the time. In his community tab, I mean, you can view it right here. He still has those posts up here. They were talking about how these are just trials from Allah, and and they will get through this with prayers and support.
All these deleted videos.
Yeah, and this is just a current legal matter. And Muslims in the comment section, of course, not knowing exactly the details, were like, "May Allah make the affairs of brother Khalilullah and everyone involved easy," and things like that. It was all very nice and cute. And it turns out then he pleads guilty to sexual abuse and goes to prison for 12 years. That is pretty messed up. I want to point out here that this is the same guy with, if you think that sexual abuse is the only thing here, I remembered this. So I want to quickly bring this up. A chat where he talks about David Wood. So let's watch this quickly.
I'm in America, so the question that was asked to me was, well, would you kill David Wood? I'm like, here? No, I have no reason to kill David Wood here. I mean, I'm under a different set of laws. I'm under a different law of the land. But in an Islamic state, what's stopping me legally from going and killing someone that's blaspheming against the Prophet or God himself?
If you go do anything to him somewhere where you're going to be able to go to jail, then
that's fine. Then I could go to jail with a smile on my face, knowing that I made God happy.
Okay, ooh, that's cool. That's cool for you, right? I mean, keep talking. That's great. But you're not doing anything good for the religion of peace by saying stuff like that. But
right
at the end of the day,
I mean, that's your opinion. You're free to believe that. I think I'm lining up exactly with what the religion teaches.
Only the devil.
Come on. Shouldn't have the music on here. But yeah, so that's what he said about
out of the Quran, al-Fatiha, and stuffing it in his mouth here in the United States. I will beat his ass for that.
That's a different dude, right?
Yeah, this is a co-host
of
of his who is on his channel as well all the time.
Is he saying it?
Wait, what is he saying? I didn't know of this part.
Page out of the Quran, al-Fatiha, and stuffing it in his mouth here in the United States. I would beat his ass for that. Me personally, I would. You know what I'm saying? Would I kill him? Nah. You know what I mean? But over there, they don't play about their religion.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, see, Allah's God over there, not here. Allah's God in Saudi Arabia, not here. You don't have to follow the Allah's laws here.
Well, what do you think about this so far, David? So these guys, the guy who was just convicted of sexual abuse of a child, was saying that he would happily make Allah happy by coming and beating you up or killing you.
Yeah, but I mean, notice this. I mean, because I'm sure there are plenty of people cheering for him when he's saying these kinds of things. But notice, he doesn't at least seem here, because I don't recall anything I've ever heard from him except for this stuff back when it was circulating. But I mean, if you're just watching this stuff, you'd say, wow, finally a guy saying, I would definitely, at least harm David Wood. And if I were in a Muslim country, then, things are a bit different. But you've got him acknowledging that you kill someone for criticizing and mocking Islam. Even these guys acknowledging, okay, here in the U.S. we wouldn't kill, but we might do something else. And then obviously someone who takes those kinds of things seriously are going to be the sort of people who take you can beat your wife into submission seriously. And we know that he was doing that. And then again, he still, even from a perverted Islamic perspective, should not have been molesting a little girl without, marrying her first and so on. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, he could have been a pervert all his life. I don't know, but a lot of the horrible things he's saying are part of Islam.
Yeah, exactly.
But the whole time I was also thinking, like, you could catch me in a mood where I'm gonna be a pacifist. I'm gonna put my hands up in the air and that's what I'm gonna do. There are other times you catch me and I'm gonna go self-defense, and I'm wondering on what planet these guys on what planet do these guys think that, oh, hey, here's this guy who grew up in a trailer park and spent years in prison and then years in the Bronx and so on, and we're gonna go mess with this guy. We're gonna go take a swing at this guy. Hey, you better hope I'm in my more sort of pacifistic mode, because otherwise you better bring an army, dude. You better bring an army.
Yeah, you heard him. You heard David here. But yeah, so this is the guy who, even after converting to Islam, that's actually, I'm pretty sure that the charge was first brought against him by his wife after he already converted to Islam. So he converted to Islam and he was abusing his wife, and she had enough of it and wanted to sue him. And just then she found out that he had also been sexually abusing her child, say for 2 years until then. And this guy is the same guy who goes on the internet and talks about how brilliant and how awesome Islam is, and who says that he would happily kill or at least beat up David Wood here and anybody else who does things that David Wood does, because he wants to make Allah happy. He wants to make Allah happy. I'm pretty sure when he's in prison now, he can make Allah happy in prison. I don't know how that will look.
Here's what's weird about this situation, because as a general rule, this guy's getting locked up for being a child molester. Lots of people are pretty familiar with this. You have sort of, prison hierarchies that are just built into the system. Up at the top, people you don't mess with. You got your shot callers. These are guys who, basically run the thing. But you've got your violent crimes, your murderers and malicious woundings and aggravated assaults. And, a lot of these guys are people most people wouldn't want to mess with, because they're going to get, they're happy to get violent. Then, like, in the middle, you have people like drug offenses and so on. You don't know if these guys can fight or not. And then down at the bottom, moving down the hierarchy, you have rapists, and then child molesters and snitches are all the way down at the bottom as far as the people who have it absolutely worse. So here's what the horrible situation is. It just according to prison rules, this guy would be in trouble and would have to be like on protective custody, like in a special place where people can't get to him. Because it's basically, here's how it actually works in prison, ladies and gentlemen. You might walk in there and guys eventually find out what you're in there for. And if you're in there for molesting a little girl, people instantly are going to start messing with you. They're going to start running their mouths. They're going to walk up, take your stuff right in front of you. There's nothing you'll be able to do about it. But if you catch someone in a bad mood, you catch someone, right when they get back from court or right when they find out they've been turned down for parole or something like this. And this guy who just got turned down for parole, and he's really amped up and enraged. And he's got a daughter who's like the same age as the girl you molested. It would just, I'm going to beat someone down, and it's going to be that guy. That would be prison rules. Here's what's really screwed up about this. Islam is like a gang in prison. It's a protection racket. And so, think about all of the guys who are getting locked up in the UK for being part of these grooming gangs where they were drugging, raping, pimping, 10, 11, 12-year-old girls. These guys aren't in trouble when they go to prison. Why? Because they have this system that'll protect them. And so So all the stuff we point out as far as problems that Islam has, this dude may actually be protected for walking in there and, hey, I'm a da'i, and he may actually be fine because he will have an Islamic gang to protect him in prison. Yeah, so that's what's actually messed up. It's actually in your best, if you go to prison for being a rapist or a child molester or whatever, it's actually in your best interest to be part of the religion of Muhammad, because you might get protected that way.
See, that's an aspect that I didn't even think about. It's good to have you here to give more insight into
Any
that.
questions you have about prison life, I can fill you in, AP.
Yeah, so I mean, I know everybody has heard of the fact that child molesters expect a very terrible time in prison, but I didn't think at all about the aspect of Muslim prisoners. So, what do you think? What are the chances of him getting being protected by those people?
It depends, because again, if you look at the UK, the prison population is you have so many Muslims, and they just don't care as long as you're out there, and the girls you're taking advantage of are these worst of creatures, filthy kafir girls. They just don't have a problem with it, and so the ordinary prison rules about child molesters wouldn't be in effect. I don't know that that's the same situation over here, because you don't have the same numbers of people involved. So I don't know. I don't know what the situation's like in whatever prison he happens to go to.
You know what's messed up? I'm checking the whole community tab on his YouTube page now, and I checked it a few days ago when I first shared the news on my channel. And I remember people commenting stuff like he was just convicted of child sexual abuse, and even Muslims saying, "Wait a minute, didn't he abuse a little girl or something like that?" And I'm checking the community tab right now. None of those comments are here. They're all gone.
So people are cleaning up those comments.
Yeah, whoever is in charge of his YouTube channel is cleaning up those things entirely, making them disappear, whatever he did. And the only things left here are, may Allah help him and his family. May Allah, vindicate him. May Allah this and that. Just positive stuff from fellow Muslims. What do you want me to say?
If you're gonna defend Andrew Tate, you might as well defend this guy. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's just it's like they're saying, hey, free pass as long as you say you're a Muslim. We do not care what you do.
Yeah. See, Dunya Kadia said, "Oh, what the hell? I just watched the debate with him and AP a couple of days ago, and AP was saying how he had enjoyed the exchange because it was so respectful. And now this, damn."
You see, AP says he enjoys dialoguing with child molesters. You see.
Here's the thing: when I had the conversation with him, the chat with him, I said, "Hey, this was actually pretty good." He was very, very reasonable, very, very nice and friendly, which is because he's a convert. But here's the issue: I thought there's something strange about this guy, and I told my wife about this as well. And I said, "There's something weird that I noticed during our conversation. He repeatedly did something weird in response to humor, where I make a joke, I say something funny, and he does this." He does literally this. He laughs. He goes like, and so he laughs. It looks like a genuine laugh, like he's imitating a genuine laugh, and then he's immediately turning to serious, like without even any reasonable bridge in between. Like he's like, like he was doing that, and I thought, okay, that's a little bit strange, but who am I to? and now all this, so. I don't know what to say.
Pretty pretty bad situation. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, AP's got the link there to the GoFundMe. Again, if you tuned in after the beginning, his wife did turn him in for violence against her and for sexually abusing one of her children. So shouldn't be any ill will towards her, and she is in a difficult situation now. She says her kids have disabilities, and now He's out of the picture, so things are difficult. So if you can, again, the link for the GoFundMe is right there.
Yeah, it is pinned in the chat. So if you want to help, go there and do that. I'm kind of curious if there's anything else here to say in this thing here.
Clear it up. Were you there? Were you listening to it, or did you just hear?
Oh, of course
about it?
No, yeah, I listened to it after the fact. I couldn't listen to it live because if you're on a stage, I can't come into the room.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what I said was, in an Islamic country, under Islamic jurisprudence, under Islamic law, there are people that will go out and kill others for speaking against the Prophet, for speaking against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are things like that. Nothing would be stopping me from doing that in an Islamic state.
Wait a minute. Do you notice that he's blatantly lying here
about what he said?
Yeah. What he actually says in that discussion is that even if he could go to jail here, to make Allah happy, he would happily come and kill you. Now here he's talking about the incident and saying, no, what I was saying is, it's like under an Islamic state. And
yeah, it just amazes me that I'm not making video. Muslim threatens David Wood, then goes to jail for child molestation.
Maybe you should give them a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah.
I'm in America, so the question that was asked to me was, well, would you kill David Wood? I'm like, here? No, I have no reason to kill David Wood here. I mean, I'm under a different set of laws. I'm under a different law of the land.
All right, so let me go back here quickly and listen to what he actually said.
Where you're going to be able to go to jail. Then
that's fine.
Against the Prophet or God himself.
If you go do anything to him somewhere where you're going to be able to go to jail, then
that's fine. Then I could go to jail with a smile on my face, knowing that I made God happy.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool for you, right? I mean, keep talking. That's great. But you're not doing anything good for the religion of peace by saying stuff like that. But at the end of the day,
that's your opinion. You're free to believe that. I think I'm lining up exactly with what the religion teaches.
So, I mean, just a clear example of him saying something really messed up and then lying about it later on. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about this?
So, wow.
Wild stuff. Wild stuff. This is, I know it's very nauseating to many people. Everything that we have just talked about and gone through here. But yeah, we had to do this. With this said, is there anything that you wanted to add to this topic, David, or do you want to jump to the next thing that we wanted to talk about?
Well, I mean, it's all kind of connected. I mean, if we were talking about, I guess the other thing was the Quran burner.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what you put in the title. Did you put that in the title?
I did. Then I took it out again. I might put it in again.
No, something like oh, okay, yeah. No, we can continue on this because it's actually I mean, they're kind of separate topics, although they're kind of related in the sense that I mean, Muhammad Hijab, who's the one who posted the video celebrating the death of the Quran burner, even though it's like an little old man. That's the same guy who says that if you just read the Quran, you'd conclude that you could have sex with a 5-year-old. And so all this sicko stuff is kind of connected.
Yeah. So you're talking about this guy here, right? This.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Nice shirt.
That Allah
He likes women.
wants to ensure that they have no provision of the akhirah, of the hereafter, and they will have a painful punishment.
Painful punishment.
What a character, man.
Because we got the haq and the hikmah. The haq and the hikmah.
Why does he? I mean, why does he think it's? Why does he talk like that? I don't even.
Because he's learned that as long as you talk like this and show everyone how pathetic they are, and you humiliate everyone, there's just this large crowd of millions of people who love you.
He even loses his breath as he's talking about regular things.
You got to do cardio, man. Don't skip cardio. Don't skip your cardio. Hijab.
So here we have Mohammed Hijab talking about a man who burned the Quran, or the Quran burner movement founder, and how he died. I think the news is actually that the guy was at the end of his life. He's an old man. He's sick, and he died from. It's like he ended his own life or something, right? I didn't even check the details here, but it wasn't even like it's not some random.
Do we know the guy's name? Because I don't even know how to look him up.
I have no idea, to be honest. I just know of this video and I thought, how stupid, how pathetic. Let's listen a little bit. Let's see what happens.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? Some time ago, we made a video on this channel detailing the suicide, the excruciating suicide of one of the individuals who was burning the Quran in Scandinavia. Now, the founder of the movement has also died. And this is happening in quick succession.
Who is that?
Which reminds me of...
I don't even know.
Where did he
Does
say?
can anybody in the
Does
comment
anyone know
section
who that is?
enlighten us who that is? It's also funny how he is. He really enjoys saying that the guy died an excruciating death. This just shows you what Islam gives you pleasure in.
Oh yeah, that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to talk about. That, right? Like, you see, look at all the pain this man was in. You see how he died?
Oh yes, exactly.
This proves that he was under the curse of Allah because of all those things he did. You see. And as soon as anyone ever says that, because I hear that over and over and over again, right? Look at what Allah did to Nabil. Look, you have disabled children, you see, right? And it's anything you guys say. Do you know what happened to Muhammad? I mean, do you know? I mean, notice that they'll do it with me. I mean, it's always an interesting conversation. I could get into this conversation 100 times a day based on the comments I get, but it usually goes like this: David, how can you continue? How can you continue to criticize Islam, knowing what Allah has done to your children? And I go, oh, so my kids have a disease because of what I did? Yes, you see, under Allah's curse. And then I go, oh, okay, so Allah is punishing children for what I did. That's what you're saying? Because I thought that's what Islam says God doesn't. He doesn't punish someone else for what you've done. And then, but Allah makes you a special situation because he hates you so much, right? It's like, It's always like, oh, okay, he doesn't come after me. I'm like too strong. So he goes after
he makes a special exception here.
He goes after the kids. So there's that situation. But then after that goes on for a while, I go, hey, why don't we take a look at how Muhammad's children died? It would never cross. It wouldn't cross my mind to say, hey, look at all Muhammad's kids dying. Usually in childhood. Therefore, you see, he's under the curse. But when you say, hey, something that happened to my kids is evidence that I'm under God's curse, guess what? Look at your prophet. So there's that. And then there's this situation. Oh, look at all the pain he was in. Look at all the pain this Quran burner was in. This proves that he's under Allah's curse. Okay, why don't we look at what happened to your prophet there, sport?
But doesn't the Quran specifically address the people, Muhammad's opponents, mocking him because he cannot have children and cannot continue his that his children don't live or something like that? I'm pretty sure there was a either a Quran verse or a hadith. I never focused on that, but I'm pretty sure there was something there.
Trying to think. So
that would be very strange, because in that case, there are these Islamists who are basically projecting.
Directly. Yeah, it's a weird situation, and it's basically connected to, they just have this like filter system where only something that can somehow support their worldview gets through. Like if you they'll read a book of the Bible, and verse 1, if you take it seriously, shows that Muhammad's a false prophet. Verse 2, Muhammad's a false prophet. Verse 3, Muhammad's a false prophet. Verse 4, Muhammad's a false prophet. All of a sudden they get to verse 17 and, oh, here's something we can twist into a claim that supports Muhammad. And then they'll ignore everything else. So you see, look at verse 17. This proves that Muhammad's a true prophet. They just ignore everything else. They do that with every, like science in the Quran. They'll go through 1 million claims in the Quran that are obviously nonsense, and they'll find one that they can twist into some correct scientific statement, and that's all they'll see. Well, what's going on here is, notice you've got tons of people who've burned the Quran. You've got tons of people who, I mean, you're talking to people right here who have shown quite a bit of contempt for the Quran on various situations. If you have a bunch of people, eventually someone in that group dies, and then, aha, you see, Allah has clearly cursed this shriveled up old man. It's obvious. Look, it's right there. They just that's all they see, and it never crosses their mind. Hey, wait a minute. Horrible things happen to Muslims. Yeah, well, one of them just got locked up for molesting a child. But I mean, going all the way back to your prophet. I mean, he died in horrible agony. His kids died in horrible ways. Multiple generations of Muslims were slaughtering each other in the name of Allah. I mean, if I were to say, hey, all the bad stuff that happens to someone is evidence that they're under God's curse, I would have to point there and say, my goodness, that early community was under God's curse.
Yeah.
So you can't have it. You can't have it both ways, my Muslim friends. Take your pick.
Yeah. So I said I never focus on this issue, but so there are two reports from Sahih Bukhari where it says, and they said, wait a minute. One example, Muhammad is cut off from his people since he has no son to carry on his name, because he wouldn't have children and maintain them. And another example is he's sterile and has no offspring. Were examples. So it's I don't know. It's funny to me that this is just what I thought about. It's funny that according to their scripture, the people around him were mocking him for something similar, and here they come and try to mock you over kids, and how that is actually a sign of Allah's curse. It's so dumb, man. That's what they resort to.
I just sent you a little link to one interesting little bit of information.
Look at this. Look at this hadith. What does it say?
Sahih. It's Sahih. Sunan Ibn Majah. Read the chapter as well. What was narrated concerning the sickness of the Messenger of Allah. So this is he had a sickness brought on by. According to the Sunni sources, it's brought on by the poisoning that he consumed right after the Battle of Khaybar. And so Muhammad was poisoned. He survived the poisoning, and Muslims still don't understand what the point is here. They'll say, you can't if it was poison, he wouldn't have survived, or something like that. Guys, it's okay. There are certain doses of poisons where if you consume that dose of the poison, then you die. What happens if you consume a little bit less? What happens if you consume a little bit less than a fatal dose? It's like if you drink a certain amount of Drano, you'll die. What happens if you drink a little less than what will actually kill you? We're just going to do massive internal damage to yourself. You might survive, but it's going to mess you up. According to the Muslim sources,
but in movies they die.
Yeah, in the Muslim sources, Muhammad, his buddy drops dead in front of him. He spits out the food and so on. But it affected him internally, because they would say they could see it on his palate and in the back of his throat, that they said they could always see the effects of the poison. So it did some sort of internal damage. And then this just got worse as time went on, until towards the end, it says that's where you get the passages where Muhammad would kind of pretend to walk around, but it was actually two of his guys holding him like this as they walked around, holding them between them, like Weekend at Bernie's, with his feet dragging along the ground. It's not me making that up. I mean, his feet were actually dangling on the ground behind him, but he still wants to appear as if he's moving around. So you had that, but notice what Aisha says here. I never saw anyone suffer more pain than the Messenger of Allah. This is a woman who is familiar with all sorts of battles that took place during her life. I mean, she eventually was even leading an army into battle against her fellow Muslims. Look up the Battle of the Camel, where Aisha marched an army. Aisha, the mother of the faithful, marched an army against Ali, the commander of the faithful, and around 10,000 Muslims died in battle. And yet, after all the pain and misery and wife beating and abuse and beheadings and stonings and everything else Aisha witnessed throughout her horrible, 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 awful life, she could look back and say, I never saw anyone go through more pain than Muhammad went through. I never saw anything as bad as what Muhammad went through. So if
this clearly shows that Muhammad was cursed by Allah.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're going to say, oh, look, this guy's got it really rough. Look at all the bad stuff that happened to this guy. You see, that's the curse. Okay, according to Aisha, the mother of the faithful, Muhammad had it worse. Muhammad had it worse than anyone today, because even if you've got some horrible disease today, once you're in a lot of pain, they're gonna drug you, right? They're gonna have you doped up on morphine out of your mind. You're actually going to be feeling really good, even if you're dying. Now, back then, not so much. So Muhammad has it worse than anyone who's dying in like a hospital or something today. And yet they would never in a million years conclude, oh my goodness, you see, this shows that Muhammad was cursed. It never crosses their minds. And so anyway,
what this shows is actually that Allah was testing his beloved servant and prophet. That's why this happened. But in your case, because you are an enemy of Islam, if you suffer, that means Allah is cursing you and punishing you. But since it is Muhammad, and who is the beloved, favorite human, it is because he likes to test them and likes to, I don't know, something like that. So what do you say?
Yeah, and that's exactly what they do. If notice you can always just make something.
You've been
up,
destroyed,
right?
man. You've been
so
destroyed. Just give it
if my kids have a disability, then you see it's the curse of Allah. If my kids were to die, if one of my children dies tomorrow, like my two disabled sons, that they have what is considered a terminal disease. So you eventually will, they eventually die. But I mean, we live in a world where lots of bad things can happen. Any of my kids or me or my wife, we could all die in a car accident or get sick or get some horrible disease or something like that. If any of that happened to no matter who it was, if my wife died tomorrow in a car accident, I would get messages. You see, are you having second thoughts about the stuff you said about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No, you see, that's the message I would get. And yet, how do they never apply that in situations like this?
I shared a photo of me laying in a hospital in the ER because I had I had a weird condition going on that they had no idea what's going on. And that happens quite frequently, right? So you have something weird going on, you go to the hospital, and they're like, we don't exactly know what's going on. Give it a few days and come back. So that's what happened. And Muslims on the internet, led by Al Dawa and others, were saying that this is clearly a punishment from Allah and that I should repent for the things that I'd done and for insulting Allah. And
yeah, and just in case, because I also used to think like that. I used to think, okay, you got a problem, you go in the hospital, they give you a little blood test and it's sticking in a computer, and then the computer's going to tell them what the disease is, and it is not like that. You go in and you say, hey, I've got this problem, and the doctors are like, okay, there are 75 different things that can cause that problem, that can cause that symptom, and so they'll start down the list. Okay, what's the most common one? What's the most common thing that could cause that? Oh, that didn't work. Oh, no, let's go with the second most common thing. And they got to work their way through the list. Like our kids are born, our disabled kids are born. It's called floppy baby syndrome, meaning the baby's just not moving at all. Well, guess what? There are all kinds of things that cause that. It could be a problem in the brain. It could be neurological. It could be in the nerves. It could be anywhere in the nerves leading to the muscles if they're not moving, or it could be a problem in the muscles. And each one of those, it could be a bunch of different issues that lead to the exact same symptoms and so on. And so, yeah, but look, whatever it may be, it's if you're a non-Muslim critic of Islam, it's evidence of Allah's curse. But if you go through the exact same thing or far worse, in the case of Muhammad, it's Allah testing you or Allah's blessing you. Like Muhammad's kids died and if you ask a Muslim, hey, you're saying, hey, so and so's kids died, and that's proof of Allah's curse. What about your prophet's kids dying? Oh, that's because Allah wanted them to know that that Muhammad wasn't going to be a biological dynasty. And so why did he get pregnant? Like, what? I mean, why did Khadijah get pregnant? Right? If all these kids are just, if the kids are just going to die, what was the point? To test them. Okay. All you're proving is you can interpret anything to mean anything you want in Islam.
Look at this! Look at this brilliant response here. I want to warn viewers. If anybody is watching that is not appropriate as an audience, this is Muslim content, so please be advised. It says here from a commenter, I just want to give a quick shout out to apostate pussy's aunt's boyfriend who killed her. It's a shame I couldn't have smashed, though. She looked fine as hell. This is a Muslim viewer, apparently, as it seems, making fun of the fact that my aunt was brutally, ruthlessly killed by her then husband, not boyfriend, by the way, because she wasn't being an obedient, good Muslim woman. So, and this is the comments that I receive from people who are just upset that I'm doing what I'm doing here.
But he loves to insult you in the name of his child molesting rapist prophet.
Yep. So this is the stuff that we face, that we deal with. This is the wonderful love that makes us just get closer and closer to Islam, that makes us love Islam so much more, that makes us appreciate the prophet of Islam so much more. This is just the love that radiates from the Muslim community, from the beautiful ummah, and acts like these just will invite more and more people to Islam, bring them closer to Islam, make them more sympathetic toward Islam. They will change the world's mind about Islam. And just like this, with a sentiment like this, with attitudes like this, Islam will become the world's most wonderful, most great, most fantastic religion. And this is exactly what Jordan Peterson talks about, for example, when he says, make something of yourselves that people admire, so that people come to your religion willingly. And this guy, Yasin Ghalib here, is just doing exactly that. This is the beauty of Islam.
Yeah, this makes us all want to convert.
Yeah. I want to revert immediately right now.
Hey, there is a point that's. Do you still have that Muhammad hijab video? That it was a short video, but he starts talking about the punishment of the grave that this guy's going to face.
No.
You don't have the video anymore?
Is that a previous video where he is talking about?
No, it's that Quran burner dude.
He
starts talking about the punishment of the grave.
Yeah. No, yeah. Of course. I thought you were talking about a different video.
No, that's interesting because there are a bunch of I might have to look them up real quick, but there are a bunch of interesting hadiths on the punishment of the grave. But yeah, if you want to play what he says there, he's going to end up with another problem here real quick. Like,
okay, let's
has also died, and this is happening in quick succession. Which reminds me of
what he said here. Breaking news, old man died.
Yeah. Breaking news. The oldest person in the world. Notice Allah didn't get the young Quran burners who are going around burning them. No, he got this 900-year-old. Hey, look, this guy who burned the Quran during the time of Muhammad finally just died. You see, it's a proof.
Muhammad hijab, you dumbass. Your friend Ali Dawa challenged me to in public challenge Allah and tell him to kill me, to strike me down.
And I recall you did it.
If I am lying about Islam, did it happen? Did I die? No. Apparently, even if challenged in public with so many people watching, upon the request of your dear friend, who is one of the biggest Muslim YouTubers, Allah just ignores that. He doesn't care about us who have all the strength to do all kinds of mockery and criticism forever. But no, Allah takes his time. And what does he do? He goes for a very old man who is naturally about to die, and he takes his life in order to punish him for burning a Quran.
Yeah, guys, this is you
The
Muslims.
brilliance of Islamic intellect.
You Muslims who are watching, this is okay. Let me break this down for you.
Oh boy!
If you have 100 Quran burners, eventually they're all going to die. They're all going to die eventually. Some sooner than others. Some may die from a sickness and so on. But that's just what's going to happen. If you're going to read into whatever happens to any of them, even though let me put it this way, just statistically, if you have 100 Quran burners, eventually one of those guys is going to die in a car accident or some sort of accident or something like this. Eventually one of those guys is going to get cancer. Eventually one of those guys is going to, these things are going to happen. If you then zero in on each one, you see, this is the proof. This is the proof. How do you not do the exact same thing when it comes to Islam? Especially when your prophet had it way, 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 way worse and died younger than this old man that we can't even find. I can't even figure out who this is. I don't even know who he's talking about. Because when you pull up Quran burner, a bunch of other people come up, right?
They're alive, right? Lots of them are still alive. So Allah has different priorities, man. He has different priorities, and sometimes he tests his beloved prophet and then accidentally kills him. That's what happens.
All right, so
verse
yeah, go ahead.
in the Quran, ولا يحزنك الذين يسارعون في الكفر إنهم لن يضروا الله شيئا يريد الله ألا يجعل لهم حظا في الآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم. Do not let those individuals worry you, sadden you, O Muhammad, grieve you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That Allah wants to ensure that they have of the hereafter, and they will have a painful punishment.
Painful punishment because they didn't have the haqq and the hikmah.
What we can call in our terms, or what we can regard from our perspective, as a kind of sadaqah jariyah of ma'siyah. An individual who has established for himself organizations, plural, who burn the Quran, the holy books, and now when he's in his grave, all of those sins, which he's already probably being punished for, if he hasn't, of course, done the shahada somehow before he died, or something like that, whereby it can be salvific for him, that individual will be getting a multiplied sinful effect until the day of judgment, where the blazing fire will be made.
That's true. Actually, so people will be punished in the grave for the things that they have done during their lives, and if they have done some horrible stuff like not child molesting, that's a different issue. That's not so big of a deal. But things like burning a book, then
wait. Actually, according to Muhammad, if you recall, over half of the punishment of the grave is due to urinating improperly. Remember?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. What'd you do? I molested a bunch of children. Okay, you're good. What did you do? I didn't squat to pee. Oh yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you? Now you'll be humiliated. What is this, man?
And we can also observe this when you go to the grave of somebody who burned a Quran or dropped a few drops of urine on his pants. You can actually look in the grave and you can see that he is being punished in there. And we can all, of course, discover that and observe that.
Isn't that weird? It's like here's what's weird. I can't even believe we have to talk about this stuff whenever we're talking about Islam. But so this is Muhammad, and guys, if you doubt this, we can pull up the passages and so on, where over most of the punishment of the grave is because of urinating improperly, not squatting properly, and then I guess you get some sprinkles all over. And when you bring this stuff up to Muslims, they say, "Oh, that's because Islam is so focused on on cleanliness. And it's like, oh, okay, I can understand. Hey, be careful about how you pee. You want to be clean, right? But really, I mean, that's most of the punishment of the grave is just for that. But then when you take that and you say, it's because Allah wants us clean. It's like, but then why does Muhammad walk around with semen all over his clothes? And it's like Aisha, there's all these passages. I mean, it's all over the hadith about Aisha having to constantly clean all the semen all over his clothes. And then when I ask Muslims about that, when I say, why does this guy have semen all over his clothes? That Aisha constantly, she says she has to scrape it off with her fingernail or wash it or scrub it or all these different ways that Aisha was cleaning the semen off of Muhammad. And when I ask about that, they say, oh, but it's a this, I can't even say it with a straight face. It will be some version of, but it's the hot desert and Muhammad didn't have a lot to clean himself, and you can't just take a bath all the time. And so that's what it's like. Wait, look. Okay, guys, let me break this down for you. Muhammad has sex with Aisha, and then the semen's all over him somehow. How does that happen unless he's just using his garment as a rag? And then what is it? It's but Muhammad is poor. He couldn't afford a rag. This guy's like, again, guys, how is there semen all over his clothes? How does this happen? I've never been in a situation where I walk around, oh my goodness, oopsie, let me go wash this off of me. But I mean, how does this happen where he doesn't have anything to wipe himself with except the clothes he wears to the mosque? Because that's the context. Aisha was like, oh, Muhammad's heading to the mosque. And I was like, stop. I have to wash all the semen off you. And it's like, there's just no. So anyway, the long story short, squat to pee. If you don't, you're in trouble and you're going to be punished in the grave. But no problem walking around with semen all over you. You're good to go in Islam. This is interesting stuff.
That's beautiful stuff, man.
I sent you a little hadith on the punishment of the grave that I think. I mean,
you did?
There's a bunch of interesting. Do you have all these passages where Muhammad says that he would pray for Allah's forgiveness 70 times per day? It's like, wait a minute, I thought you're this, wonderful, perfect pattern of conduct, and yet he's doing stuff that he's trying to protect himself from future punishment by repenting 70 times per day. Urination is the main cause of punishment in the grave.
So this is what the hadith says. Urination is the main cause of punishment in the grave. There are different reports which explain what exactly is being meant here. I was looking for those.
Hey, so notice Quran burning is not. So you've got this Quran burner, and according to Muhammad Hijab, he's going to get punished in the grave, and he's going to be punished. He's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry for burning the Quran. Allah's going to say, what? This ain't for burning the Quran. This for not peeing while squatting. Stupid kafir. Now you're being punished.
Here it says, beware of smearing yourself with urine because it is the main cause of punishment in the grave.
Yeah.
There are longer reports where Muhammad explains how somebody is being punished in the grave, but it's not because of the major sins. It is because they urinated the wrong way and got urine on their clothes. So Muhammad Hijab, you are here making a video mocking a Quran burner and saying he will be punished in the grave, but make sure you didn't accidentally drop pee on your pants, because then you will be mocked. You will
make you Muslims who are watching, make sure you squat to go pee pee. Make sure you squat to pee, because if not, you're going to be punished in the grave over that stuff.
You will be humiliated.
You'll be humiliated more than a Quran burner. Can you imagine you're a Muslim and then you you don't squat to pee? You're like, oh, everyone's going to see me squatting to pee like a girl or something like that, so I better stand up here. And then you die, and then you're being tormented in the grave, and you're like, why is it so much worse for me than that Quran burner over there? And Allah's like, because most of the punishment in the grave is because of peeing wrong. Ha ha!
That Quran burner never got pee on his clothes, but you did.
He was super clean. He was super clean.
Oh boy, what a religion, man.
There you go.
What a religion.
These are the hadiths that crack me up.
What is this? What did you send me?
Aisha reported, the Prophet entered my house when a Jewess was with me, and she was saying, do you know that you would be put to trial in the grave? The messenger of Allah trembled on hearing this and said, it is the Jews only who would be put to trial. Ha ha! Aisha said, we passed some nights, and then the messenger of Allah said, do you know that it has been revealed to me you would be put to trial in the grave? Aisha said, and here, this trial part, that's referring to being punished in the grave. Aisha said, I heard the messenger of Allah seeking refuge from the torment of the grave after this. So, I mean, look at this whole, I mean, if you reenacted this, it would be like a comedy. It's like, so he's such a joke. But Aisha's sitting there talking to a Jewish woman, and the Jewish woman says, hey, there's the punishment of the grave. There's this, stuff that happens in the grave. And Muhammad, the prophet who knows what he's talking about, ha ha! This is only for you. It's only for the Jews, not for us Muslims. And then he walks around for a couple of days and comes back. Hey, Aisha, I got a revelation. And Allah said in this revelation that there is punishment in the grave. But Muhammad, isn't that what the Jews just told you? Now you're passing this off as a revelation you got? Alhamdulillah, it's the revelation. This is amazing because this happens over and over and over again in the Muslim sources. The Jews say something, the Muslims say, that's wrong, you liar, you don't know what you're talking about. And then later, I have a revelation. And it's Muhammad, of course.
And he's clearly here saying, at first, it is the Jews only who would be put to trial.
Yeah.
Right? And then later he's like, I'm scared. I'm scared it will happen to us too. It will happen to everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And keep in mind, it's not just like bad Muslims. It's even him. Even he becomes terrified of punishment into the grave. And that's why he starts repenting 70 times. He starts repenting 70 times per day.
I don't know what I will do.
This is wild stuff, man. This is wild stuff.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
Hey,
anyway,
can
what
you...
were we talking about?
Oh, I don't know. Hey, how about
we were talking about this guy who was losing his breath. What?
Are we done? Are we done talking about hijab there?
No, wait.
Made clear for all to see. What we can do, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. We can give sadaqah that will give us a sadaqatun jariyah, a continuous charity that will act as that exactly, which is a charity for us, make the world a better place for Muslims in the West and in the world.
Why is
Make it possible for us.
Why has he got two microphones?
An impossible subject in the West.
How serious?
Strengthen our resolve. Give us proper placement in the West by aiding the biggest masjid and dawah center in all of northern.
He really used this incident just for a promotional.
You
video.
see, yeah.
Well,
I mean, think about that. Isn't this interesting? Look, this 400-year-old Quran burner just died. Now give to the dawah so we can build our dawah center and stop the avalanche of apostasy.
Let's make it more simple. This old man just died. So now give money to build a masjid. Wow, man. Wow. That's how funny and pathetic this is. Is this it?
Europe and all of Scandinavia, which is the IslamNet project, which is already doing so well. You have done I'm so proud of you, the loyalists. Together, we've been able to raise more than $1 million.
Did you hear that? The loyalists?
Because
because everyone's like turning on him over time. I mean, yeah, I think Yasser Qadhi just blocked him. Recently. People are fed up with the idea that this guy is. Here's the awkward situation they're in, right? These are the guys that become massively popular with like the younger, clueless generation, and then you got the people who actually have some level of hikmah. And they're like, guys, this is looking bad. Yes, you can win some temporary points with a bunch of, people who are the kinds of people who are persuaded by me strong than you. And some people go, oh, he's so strong. Let's follow him. That can happen. But in the long run, it's like an embarrassment if guys like this become the public face of your religion. So people are starting to realize this is a problem. And notice, those of you who are actually loyal, unlike all those traitors who are betraying me and turning against me. So notice it really is all about him.
Yeah. Black Angel said something funny that just made me visualize everything. Does he speak with his wife like that? Oh boy, I don't even know. I don't want to think about that any further. I already have enough. So, yeah.
Fantastic. We're seeing the fruits of this now. Provision is being given to the Muslim community, and a voice is finally being given to us where we can fight back our case intellectually and using all the advantages we can acquire.
Intellectually,
The link below.
we'll destroy you.
Using all the advantages we can acquire.
You're weak.
The link below.
Look, all he's saying is click the link. Look how he's saying it.
And using all the advantages we can acquire. Click the link below. Don't miss this opportunity. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
What in the world is wrong with this guy? Click the link below and support the cause, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Because of you, the loyalists. Yeah. Man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Go ahead.
You can support the dawah against these stupid little old men that Allah takes decades to destroy and humiliate. But if you just send money to the link here, ha ha!
Yeah, you forgot to say click the link. Say click the link.
Click the link. Or you will be punished in the grave like this Quran burner.
Oh,
but if you send money right now, Allah will protect you because what did he call it?
I don't know. I forgot.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Oh my goodness.
It's hard to listen
Welcome
to.
to Dawah, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dawah.
What
There
is
is
religion?
There is kind of one last major point in all of this. So as I pointed out, you can line up 100 Quran burners. Just statistically, some bad stuff's going to start happening eventually. Eventually, people get super old. Eventually, people get cancer. Eventually. So how do you know when Allah is actually punishing someone? How do you know when Allah is actually punishing someone? I would say the only way you could actually know, because guys, keep in mind, horrible bad things happen to Christians. Horrible bad things happen to atheists. Horrible bad things happen to Muslims. Horrible bad things happen to Jews and Hindus and Buddhists and so on. That's life. In fact, you could point out, if you were a Muslim, you could point out that if Allah just started, if Allah made it so that the Muslim community was immune to bad things happening, they never got sick, they never got old, they never died, and so on. Yeah, you could use that as a point for Islam, but why would people then be converting to Islam? Because they're submitting to Allah? No, because that would be the only way to avoid bad things happening. That's what would happen if Allah made it so that nothing bad happens to you. So bad things happen to people from all groups. Somehow in the Islamic mindset, when something bad happens to another group, it's the clear sign that Allah is punishing that person for being part of that other group. And then when the exact same thing or worse happens to someone in the Muslim community, it has nothing to do with the punishment of Allah. That sounds incredibly stupid and sloppy. So how do we actually know when Allah is punishing someone? Or why would you think that you can have some indication? I would say that the only time you could even really make a case, is in a situation where someone says, if I'm wrong, then may Allah do this to me. And then whatever the person says actually happens. That's what I would say. In other words, if horrible bad things are happening to people from all groups, then bad things happening doesn't give you a lot of evidence to go on. If, however, someone were to step out and say, if this Quran burner were to say, I'm going to burn. If this Quran burner were to step out and say, I'm going to burn this Quran, and if Allah disagrees, if Allah is real, he will strike me down with lightning. If all of a sudden lightning strikes that dude, I'd be like, all right, you got a point there. This guy said, man, lightning was going to strike, and then lightning struck him. Right there, I would say, okay, that's a different kind of situation. Wouldn't be 100% conclusive because lightning does strike occasionally, but that would be a good connection to make. So those are the times when you can actually say, hey, maybe there's a point here. But what happens when we actually apply that reasoning to Islam? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to point out that we do have some basis for thinking that Muhammad was making these kinds of claims. So we already saw the hadith where Aisha said, in effect, of all the pain and agony and wife beating and beheadings and stonings and bloodshed and massacres I've seen all my life, no one had it worse than Muhammad. This is Aisha. No one had it worse. No one went through more pain than Muhammad, according to Aisha.
She was lying. She was lying. She was slandering the Prophet.
You got the Quran handy, AP? You got that? You normally go to Sahih International. You got a Sahih International?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yes.
Just pull up whatever Quran site you normally go to.
Yes, what do you want me to look up?
Surah 69, verses 44 to 46.
69, verse 420.
Did you say 40?
Sorry, what? 69, verse what?
44 to 46.
44 to 46.
Unless I got that wrong. I'm sure about the 44 to 46. I believe Surah 69. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I got it. Let's share this.
Let's see what you got. Yes, that is correct. So what is this? Is Sahih International?
I believe so.
Looks like Sahih International.
Sahih International, yes.
Yep. And if he, i.e. Muhammad, had made up about us some false sayings, we would have seized him by the right hand. Then we would have cut from him the aorta. Huh. So what do we have here? So notice, guys, this is Muhammad receiving this revelation. So Muhammad receives a revelation. He steps out one day. He says, Allah has given me a revelation. This is a revelation that proves that I'm a true prophet. Brothers and sisters, Allah says that if I had made up these revelations, Allah would have seized me by the right hand and would have severed my aorta. But you can see my aorta has not been severed. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, praise the Lord. Right? That's what he's doing here, right? This is Allah saying. So notice, this is supposed to be confirmation from Allah. Allah saying, hey, if this guy were making this up, I would have severed his aorta. But his aorta is not severed. So everyone see, he must be a true prophet. This would be like me standing here right now.
Clearly.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm a false prophet, may I be struck by lightning. I didn't get struck by lightning. Therefore, I'm a true prophet. That's exactly what Muhammad did right here. This is exactly. Like,
that's clear scientific proof, by the way.
Yeah. And notice, normally if I saw someone arguing like this, I would think, okay, this is a clear sign this guy's an idiot and an imposter. But in Islam, nope, this is proof. But there's just one problem here. Can we go to sunnah.com? Notice, if Muhammad were to fabricate revelations, if Muhammad's lying, if he's making up Quran verses to feed his own desires or for whatever other purpose, Allah says he's going to sever Muhammad's aorta. Can we go to sunnah.com?
I already have it.
Oh, there's a bunch. Matter of fact, you can just type in aorta into the search, and a bunch of these passages pop up. So here we have narrated Aisha. This is Sahih al-Bukhari. Narrated Aisha. The Prophet, in his ailment in which he died, used to say, "Oh Aisha, I still feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Khaybar, and at this time I feel as if my aorta is being cut from that poison." Interesting fact. Hey, Muslims, show us as if in this text. It doesn't. That is added by the translators. He doesn't say he feels as if his aorta is being severed. He says he feels his aorta being severed. Muhammad says, "I feel my aorta being severed." Now think about that. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. The guy who receives the revelation says, if I'm making this up, if I'm lying, if I'm a false prophet, Allah will sever my aorta. And then he dies. My aorta, I'm dying. It's killing me, my aorta. Are you serious? Are you serious? So you've got, I mean, just imagine again, if I stepped out and I said, if I'm a false prophet, Allah will strike me with lightning. If I get blasted with lightning, or even if I die by lightning years later, every last Muslim in the world would say, you see, this is the proof. You normally don't have that. But right here in this one case, you've got this guy saying, if I'm a false prophet, here's how I will die. And then he dies. My order, just like Allah said in the Quran. He'll just exactly like he said he would do to me if I were a false prophet fabricating these revelations. How after this? I mean, after this, the only response any Muslim can give after this is someone dying it is of no evidential value at all whatsoever. At all. So notice the multiple problems you have. If you say, oh, this person died in a lot of pain, therefore he's under Allah's curse. Well, according to Aisha, Muhammad went through more pain than she had ever seen anyone go through. So if you're going to say it about some other person, if you're going to say it about a Quran burner, you have to say it about your prophet. Or if you're going to say someone died in some particular way and that this is evidence that Allah killed him, you have a much stronger case for Muhammad than you have for any other person in history. This is a guy who said exactly how he would die as a false prophet, and it's exactly how he died.
Yeah. Yep.
And yet you don't conclude it here, but then, oh, a 400-year-old Quran burner died. You see, this is why you need to give money to our new Dawah center. What is this religion, man? What is this?
What a religion, man.
Go to one or two more passages.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I think the ones from Abu Dawud are pretty similar. So we'll just read one of those. On the authority of his father, Mubashir said to the Prophet during the sickness of which he died, what do you think about your illness, Messenger of Allah? I do not think about the illness of my son. This is the mother of the guy who died because he ate the same poison Muhammad did, but he actually ate it. Muhammad didn't. Muhammad spit it out. I do not think about the illness of my son, except the poisoned sheep of which he had eaten with you at Khaybar. The Prophet said, and I do not think about my illness except that. This is the time when it cut off my aorta. What did Allah say would happen? What did Allah say would happen in the Quran if Muhammad's a false prophet? Allah would cut off his aorta. And here's Muhammad. This is the time when it cut off my aorta. Guys, I have no problem with a Muslim saying, that's no evidence. That's no evidence. Fine. You forfeit the right to ever claim that anything anyone goes through is evidence of anything.
That's the point.
If this doesn't count, if this is nothing, then great. Don't ever claim that anyone's suffering is any kind of evidence for anything. Yeah. But if you're going to claim that anyone who goes through anything is some sort of evidence, we've got greater evidence that your prophet is a false prophet based on that.
Yeah, precisely. If you don't accept this, then you can never, ever say that somebody was punished by Allah because of how they died later when they were an old man. So yeah, we should always keep this in mind. And with that, I want to address this issue one more time and say, if the death of an old man who is about to die is being used to say, look, the enemies of Islam are being punished by Allah because of what they did, then I would like to make it very easy and ask Allah one more time to show us that he means it. Show us that you mean it, Allah. So here in my hand, I have a Quran, right? It's a Quran. Nothing weird in it. Here, it's the Quran, right here.
It's a dictionary.
It's the Quran. So I want to. So if we are doing what these Dawah guys are doing, and we are using evidence in such a way, how about we use it like this? I say now, if I am doing something terrible, if Islam is true, if I am lying and I'm completely wrong about all of this, and we are wrong, Allah should strike me dead make me fall to my death right here, make me unconscious, before I am able to rip one page of this Quran. If Allah is true, if Islam is true, if I am lying, if I'm wrong, Allah should prevent me right now from ripping this Quran.
Right now, not punish AP 70 years from now.
Yeah, not when I'm 95 years old.
When he's an old, shriveled up old man.
Not when I'm 95 years old and I can barely function by myself. No, right now, prevent me from ripping up this Quran. Too late. See,
you went back. You went.
See. What does this prove, David? What does it look?
I don't know what you're doing, man.
Allah, come on. There it goes.
Where'd my popcorn go?
Allah, are you there, Allah? Dear Allah, are you there? No. There you go.
It's me, apostate prophet. Now, but by the way, because I mean, we've talked before about.
This clearly proves that Islam is false. This is clear evidence.
That's the test. That's the test that is being encouraged. Notice, if you challenge Allah, he's going to refute your challenge and destroy you in front of everyone.
And see,
he hasn't.
He has just destroyed himself. We have just destroyed Allah. But look, he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. No, what will he do? He will wait until I'm 95 years old, and then there will be a YouTube Dawa channel in the weird futuristic metaverse where some Dawa guy, when there are no more Muslims left in the world because they have all left Islam, will pathetically say, hey, many decades ago, this guy was a YouTuber and he said terrible things and now Allah took his life and this clearly proves that Islam is true. But no, here we see very clearly that Allah doesn't care in the moment. He doesn't care. He can't do anything because Islam is false.
And you know it's interesting. There are people who never pay any attention to what's actually going on, right? Like what if AP were just randomly going around taking books and ripping them up, I would say, okay, that's silly. Even if you were like, oh, I disagree with Islam, therefore I'm going to rip up the book, I would think that's silly. This is your dawah. These are your dawah guys, ladies and gentlemen, saying that the test that confirms that your religion is true is that Allah punishes people who desecrate his books.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything weird. I'm not provoking. I'm not doing anything. I'm just responding to what's being propagated by the Muslims.
Yeah, that's the point. They're the ones who are putting this forward as a test, right? It's like a few years ago when Muslims said, as their new evidence that Islam is true, a cat will not walk on the Quran. What did I do? It's never crossed my mind to make a cat walk on the Quran, but I put a Quran down in front of a cat. The cat walked all over it. Then they flip out on me. Why are you dishonoring the Quran? But you guys made this the test. You did. You said this is confirmation a cat will not walk on the Quran. I did the test that you said was the test that would verify that Islam is true. So now you've got Muhammad Hijab. You see, the Quran died. Ha ha! Donate now. Donate to us. So what's the test? If you desecrate the Quran, here's what's going to happen to you. And AP just put it to the test. Muhammad put his revelations to the test 14 centuries ago. He said, if I'm a false prophet, here's what will happen. And then exactly what he said happened.
Yeah.
AP just put it to the test and said he's going to drop dead right now before he does it. And lo and behold, nothing happened. He's fine.
I'm just fine. Allah doesn't care. He has different priorities. He wants to kill 80-year-old people who are in their deathbed, who can barely walk, barely talk, barely function. It's like my grandfather. One of my grandfathers died from Parkinson's disease, and in his last weeks, in the last phase, in his last days, he was barely able to function. He was like a baby. He couldn't eat. He couldn't go to the toilet. He couldn't do anything. He was barely there, and then he just died. I'm just imagining if I'm at that age at one point and I'm just like that, I turn into a baby and I peacefully die, they will say, look what happened.
You see?
Allah punished him.
Or with me. Generally, with one exception, my maternal grandfather is still alive, and he's old and completely like can't even talk anymore. But apart from that, apart from my maternal grandfather, all the males in my family line die right around 50, if not earlier. So all the guys die around 50. I'm 47 now. I'm 47. So statistically, I mean, of course, you know, I hope I live longer, but statistically, my males in my family die a few years older than I am right now. So could have a heart attack. I could have a heart attack at any time. What will it be? It will be the proof that Islam is true, you see, because David Wood was sitting on a live stream one day when AP tore up a Quran and David Wood didn't stop him. And so what happened? Allah cursed him with a heart attack in exactly the way all the other guys in his family died. Aha! This is the proof.
This is the proof. See, this is why you should donate to our organization and support the Dawah in Scandinavia. What a religion. Anyway, yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. So anyway, I have to finish this. So while I'm doing this, I guess we can just talk about any random stuff. Yeah. I have a mark on my hand because I recently bumped into the corner of a table as I was walking.
See? He was ripping up the Quran with that hand, and Allah cursed his hand, and now he has a bump on it. You see? He has a bruise, not as bad as the green bruise that covered the woman's skin. Sahih al-Bukhari 5825, but still bad, I guess. Aha!
Still terrible. Still proof, and everyone can see it right now. Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much money we spend on Qurans we've destroyed?
I don't know, man. I'm just thinking right now. This is again one of those things. I actually spent money on these Qurans. I still have. I have a few of those left here.
Well, it's funny. I was like, oh, should I join in? It was like, oh no, I like this Quran. and no, I like this Quran too. These are my two favorite Qurans. So like, what?
No, this is actually it. Actually looks kind of nice, and it's small, and you know.
Oh, I know. I've handled a couple of those Qurans in that exact same Quran in the past.
Yeah. And it's small. It's not big. It's not huge. I like it when it's small like this. It's very nice to rip out, and yeah, I don't ever sit down and read this. I don't know. I actually purchased these, to be very honest, just to rip them up or do other things with them. So
that's why I got those. I had to get those. And again, I was originally here's what was weird. Originally, when people were spamming and all these videos claiming that cats would not walk on the Quran were getting millions of views. And then there were the reaction videos, like a Catholic reacts to cat will not walk on a Quran video. And you have actually people on their channels going, whoa, this is amazing. A cat will not walk on the Quran. Why is this? What's going on here? And I'm the one who's like, okay, here's a Quran. Let me put this on it. Let me put this on the ground. Cat, meow, 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 walks all over it. But I made the first video, and then they're saying that's not really a Quran because it's got the English parallel, right? It's got parallel English. It's still got the Arabic of the Quran. It's still got the Arabic of the Quran, the full Arabic of the Quran. But they were saying, because it has English, it doesn't count.
What a dumb excuse.
And then so I actually went and got those Qurans that are pure Arabic and laid those on the ground. And it's like I'm sitting there the whole time, like, why am I doing this now? Because of you guys. It would never have crossed my mind to do this if you guys were not putting this out there as a challenge to non-Muslims. And it's, you know what's weird, I think? They really seem to think that on some deep level we like actually care about the Quran, and they're surprised to find out we don't, right? Like remember because what's his face? EA Dawa pointed it out. Or the guy who was talking to, one of them pointed out taking a bite out of Surat Al-Fatiha.
Yeah.
You were there when I took a bite out of Surat Al-Fatiha. You remember that?
Yeah.
After that happened, if everyone remembers what that situation was, that was Muhammad Hijab saying he's launching this campaign of threats and intimidation against people's wives. No longer against us, it's against wives, right? And then so I said, no, you're not. I'll take a bite out of your Quran. and then that stuff stopped. But then they go around and they say, look, do you remember he was going to William Lane Craig and all these other links? Look at what David did. How could you support this? And they think all these Christian apologists are going to be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe David took a bite out of the Quran. No one actually cared. Well, James White. James White is the one exception.
Oh yeah,
that is the one person who actually, oh, this is wrong, right? No one else cared even slightly. They did not care. And if anyone was confused, I would eventually be talking about it, and someone would go, "Oh yeah, what's up with that? You took a bite out of the Quran. What was going on there?" Once I explained the situation, every single Christian except for James White that I'm aware of, when I say, "Hey," he says he's launching an attack against people's families instead of against them, and this is the way to stop him and make him stop. Every last person goes, "Oh yeah, you got to do that." Why? No one cares about the dumb book. No one cares about this book that calls us the worst of creatures. No one cares about this book that says beat your wives into submission. No one cares about this book that justifies sex with prepubescent girls. Not according to me, according to Muhammad Hijab, who says if you just read the Quran, you would conclude that you can have sex with a 5-year-old. Yeah. That's disgusting stuff. What on earth makes you think that we deep down respect this book? I cannot believe you went through the entire Quran.
I have no respect for this book at all. Well, it's not a book anymore.
It's not a book, it's a cover.
But I have no respect for the Quran at all. Not in the slightest. I don't even get a little sense of, oh no, I don't get anything. I don't cringe a little bit. I don't even get a little bit of a weird feeling about it anymore. It's just completely irrelevant to me. It doesn't matter. It is just a book. It is just a collection of pages of paper put together and surrounded with this cover to make it look nicer. I have no respect for it at all. I get a Quran. I buy a Quran. I have it at home. Even if I didn't have a problem with the Quran itself, I would simply have one at home. Just like I have Bibles here. I have different books here. I would appreciate maybe its value as a historic, book that belongs to a certain religion. I also have different religious things laying around here. Look, I have this in here, not because I love it, not because I appreciate it or believe in it, but just because I appreciate historical and religious artifacts and things. But here is the issue. To me, this is only a book, but to many of the people out there who love to engage in terrorism and online terrorism nowadays, this is absolutely protected. Nobody can do anything bad to this. They claim that somebody who desecrates this Quran will definitely be punished by Allah. Allah will, in near time, strike them down and burn them and do all kinds of terrible things to them. And people think they can say all kinds of horrible things about us, and we cannot do anything in return. And here I am dealing with your words and your sentiments, with Muhammad Hijab coming here and saying that somebody who burned the Quran got punished and died an excruciating death because he engaged in a Quran burning event, and this clearly shows that Allah means it and Islam is true, and you should now donate to an Islamic center. I am just doing this as a response, not because I care so much about the Quran, but because you care so much about the Quran that you disregard human lives and use them for your pathetic ideologies. That's just all that is going on here. To me, this is just paper, nothing else.
Tell us what you really think, AP.
I hate the Quran. I hate it. No, just kidding. Yeah, this is what's going on. Yeah, that's what happened. I also have a Buddha over there. I don't only have a Hindu thing here. I also have Bibles there and all that stuff. I also have a Zoroastrian symbol somewhere laying around here. Oh look here. I have a Zoroastrian thing here. This is this old Zoroastrian symbol of actually a pre-Zoroastrian spirit. It's called the Fahravar in Zoroastrianism, but actually comes from pre-Zoroastrian Mesopotamian religions and symbolizes the spirit. So I have all kinds of things here because I love it. I love having religious stuff around just to appreciate it. But if you make me mad and challenge me, then I can just do this.
One more point after all of that. Just caveat: I can neither condone nor condemn the actions of the apostate, although they're hilarious.
You see,
Hey, can you
David got scared. He got intimidated by the Dawa boys. Allah punished him. See,
you see. Hey, can you go to Hijab's video and look at the comments real quick? I wanted to zero in on a comment that I see over and over and over again. And then we just got to go to Sunnah.com one more time.
To Sunnah.com. You want to... Why does this have to show these things?
You see? Allah has spoken. AP is having problems right after he ripped up the Quran. You see, he's having problems finding what he needs for this live stream.
Wait a second. I'm not
this
sure.
is the proof.
I'm not feeling so good.
Oh, I was wrong for opposing child marriage. Oh, okay. It's actually okay, ladies and gentlemen. Let me join EA Noah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, here. Where is this? Here it is. This is it, right? Okay. Oh, no, my heart. Okay. See, nothing happened, guys. Nothing happened. What did you just say? You wanted to zoom in on a
comments? Just scroll down a little bit. There we go. That slipstreams. You see, it's like the third comment down.
Oh yeah, here.
Yeah. This is what we get. This is what I get over and over again. Whenever we disrespect Islam in any way, some version of this comment: I have never seen a Muslim burn the Bible because we actually love and respect Jesus. He accidentally let the cat out of the bag there, right? Because Muslims will always say, "Oh, we never disrespect Jesus." Yeah, okay, because you think you believe in Jesus, even though what you actually believe in is just what your false prophet said about Jesus. You still think you believe in Jesus, and so most Muslims try to avoid mocking and insulting, even though they do it anyway by the horrible things they say about him. But this is, they think they actually respect other people's books, but it's not. Notice what he says: we don't burn the Bible because we actually love and respect Jesus. Okay, great. We don't love and respect Muhammad, right? So what are we supposed to do here, right? The question is, what do you do when you don't love or respect something, right?
That is very funny. It's very, very funny to actually notice this comment and focus on that detail here. That is very funny.
Well, yeah, I wasn't done. I'm sending you a link right now to connect that. So notice, we don't act like that. You don't act like that with something you respect, like Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Now watch what happens. Just sent you a link to Bukhari.
Yeah.
Watch how the tables have turned.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of these. There are a bunch of examples like this. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari, 2478, narrated Abdullah ibn Masud. The Prophet entered Mecca, and at that time there were 360 idols around the Kaaba. He started stabbing the idols with a stick he had in his hand and reciting, "Truth, Islam, has come, and falsehood, disbelief, has vanished." What did Muhammad do when he got power over the pagans? He walked around to their idols and started stabbing them with a stick to insult and degrade their sacred symbols. And this is just the amazing part, that tolerance and respect are always really one direction in Islam. It's, we'll be tolerant and respectful when it's convenient for us in return. Once they gain power, you have this. And you can actually, I would recommend reading Robert Spencer's History of Jihad. He goes through what happened when Islam conquered like Hindu lands. They would take over the Hindu temple, smash all the idols, and sprinkle the parts of the idols on the ground outside it, then turn the temple into a mosque, and they sprinkled the pieces of the idols they smashed around their new mosque, which was a Hindu temple, so that they could walk on the idols as they walked into the mosque, right? Show me an authentic Muslim who has a problem with that. They would look at that. Yes, you see, that's what we do to your idols. Ha ha. What did your prophet do? What did your prophet do to idols? In other words, not when it's about Jesus, whom you claim to believe in, when it's idols that you claim to reject. How do you treat them? He walks around stabbing them with a stick. Ha ha, look at you. Ha ha, you have no power over me. He's insulting and degrading their religious symbols. And yet, when someone does this to the Quran, it's, oh, we would never do that. You would never do that about something you actually believe in. We're not talking about that. What did your prophet do when it was something he didn't believe in? He insulted and degraded your sacred, the sacred symbols of the pagans. So answer me, why shouldn't AP do that with your sacred symbols?
There's also a different incident, one of many, where Muhammad sent out, according to the Sirah, Muhammad sent out, so the biographies, he sent out one of his men, Khalid ibn Walid, and told him to go to a place called Nakla to destroy the image of the goddess Al-Uzza, which was worshipped by the polytheists. Muhammad, after conquering Mecca, tells his guy to go and to find the image of that goddess Al-Uzza, which is centered there in that region because people worship the idol there, and tells him, go and destroy it. The story also contains some weird mythological stuff where the goddess actually comes to life as an alluring woman, but then he goes and just kills that woman. And Muhammad then says that was the goddess. So the funny part about that is that he just goes and kills a random woman, then comes back and Muhammad says, yeah, that was hers. But so according to that story, Muhammad actually did approve of destroying the idol of a goddess. And here's also another issue, one that I made a video about, people will remember, where there was a pre-Islamic temple called Dhul Khalasa, which was also called the Yemenite Kaaba, or the Northern Kaaba. So that was in Yemen known as the Kaaba down there. It was similar to the Kaaba. And Muhammad said, will you rid me of Dhul Khalasa, of that Kaaba? So I went forth at the head of 350 horsemen of the tribe of Amas, and we destroyed it and killed whomsoever we found there. Then we came back to him, to the Holy Prophet, and informed him, and he blessed us and the tribe of Amas. So what's happening here is Muhammad is telling his people to go and destroy that other temple, which also happened to be a Kaaba in Yemen, and his guys go there and not only destroy the temple, they also kill everybody around the temple and come back. And Muhammad says, he doesn't say, no, we shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have done that. No, we don't do that, no matter if we believe in it or not. No, he says, well done. May Allah bless you and your tribe. Why would I not do something as little as just ripping up a book, which I don't respect? I think it's disgusting.
Especially when, this is hijab putting this forward as a test, right? Think about what he was saying there. This guy burned the Quran, and therefore years later, when he was old and he's shriveled up and he dies, you see, this is the proof. Well, that means that these are tests, right? These are tests that somehow verify Islam and show that Muhammad's a true prophet, and they all need to donate money to the new mosque, right? And so AP does it, and I don't get it. Why do they put forward these challenges and then flip out when we actually go through with their challenges? I don't know. It's a weird situation.
If I now have a problem, like if I get a cold, they will say, you see, you got a cold. What a religion, man.
What a religion.
All right, so let's look at these. Zal is somebody who just became a YouTube member. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks. Welcome to the channel, and enjoy it. Abdi Fatah Osman said, how do I safely let my family know about my apostasy without being harmed or losing my entire family? I am disabled and bedbound, so I can't leave. that goes way beyond my my understanding of what an apostate should do. I have the freedom to go out and do my own thing. So I have declared it to my parents, who were very disappointed, and people really cut ties with me. But in such a situation, I don't know what can be said.
Yeah, yeah, I have to agree. Normally, because I hear from people all the time, hey, I've left Islam. I'm in a Muslim country. What do I do? And it's normally, hey, try to get out of there if you can. But yeah, if you're disabled and bedbound, that's a different situation. So, not sure.
Yeah. I wish you all the best. I would say, I don't know, do whatever is best in your interest and whatever serves your own well-being.
And if you wanted to bring some family members along with you or bring them around to your understanding, you can do that in a very careful way.
Yeah.
Like you can just start asking questions and getting everyone thinking about the topics rather than saying, Muhammad's a false prophet. He's been exposed. Haha. Right. You can, hey, I was thinking about this. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Muhammad's relationship with Aisha? What do you guys think about this? You can get all of the information, whatever convinced you that Islam is false. You can get all that same information to other people without, putting yourself in danger just by asking questions in a creative fashion.
You see, AP and David Wood cannot answer because they're terrified and
because they desecrated a Quran. You see, now they can't answer. They've been silenced. Been humiliated.
Nuno Rodriguez said, Jesus, AP repents. Okay, maybe. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Gary Thomas said, I was hoping you could explain why many Muslims want Southeast Asian countries like Japan. What? That doesn't make sense to me. Japan is not a Southeast Asian country. It's an East Asian country. What is happening here? Or is it something else? To convert to Islam en masse. If that happened, those countries wouldn't produce many of the products they love so much. Yes. Yeah. No. Definitely. What somebody said Jordan Peterson. How does that make sense? Southeast Asian countries like Jordan Peterson. No, that's they should definitely not. They should definitely rethink. I always say that. I mean, it is very dumb. It's the same thing with moving to the West and then trying to convert everybody in the West to Islam. Obviously, it is not a coincidence that huge Muslim populations find their ways to the West and all know that life is simply better in the West, that the opportunities are simply better in the West. If you now want to use this opportunity to convert people in the West to Islam, then you are not getting it. You are basically running from a failed project to a paradise and then attempting to bring your failed project to the people in that paradise and trying to turn that paradise into that failed project. That is a very dumb idea. Don't do it. Similarly, people love Japanese culture, for example, and if Japanese people convert to Islam, Japanese culture will not exist anymore. Yeah. You will not have animes. You won't have
images are forbidden.
You will not have good video games, which Allah did not make for you. It's the Japanese guys who created those games. You will not have all the good technology that comes out of there. So just leave it alone. Leave it alone. You can see that not much that the world loves comes out of the Islamic world. So maybe just don't try to spread it.
All those Japanese converts would then start speaking Arabic and dressing like 7th century Arabs. And you see, Allah is obsessed with you walking and talking and thinking and dressing like a 7th century Arab.
Yeah. No more Dragon Ball. Somebody brought it up. No more Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, and Super Mario. Okay. See,
it's like Kafir Ball Z with their heads.
Oh boy, I grew up with Dragon Ball Z. By the way, this was my favorite thing when I was growing up. Gary Thomas said, "Hey, AA and J. What?
Who's AA and JW?
What is happening here? What is going on? What? Hey, AA and JW. I would like to thank you for your
Which
video.
is which? Which is which? Are you AA or JW?
I bet it's actually the opposite of the obvious. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are AA and I am JW. I don't know why. I would like to thank you for your videos, which has helped me understand not only more about Islam but religion in general. Maybe this guy is actually on the wrong channel.
Yeah, maybe he was watching something uplifting on some other channel.
Yeah, but I have no idea what AA and JW are. Apostate, Ali, and John Wick, said somebody. Yeah. So you are John Wick in this case. I don't know. Yeah, interesting. But thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat. Graze174 said, "Where were you in the hierarchy, David? Oh, the prison hierarchy. Where were you, David?"
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a violent felony. Yeah, people just, I mean, I wasn't, I mean, I was at first when I was still a slimy atheist, I was running my mouth quite a bit, but later I was actually pretty laid back. I didn't bother people. And so the basic rule is, if you're in there for a violent crime and you are not messing with people, which might get other people who are in there for violent crimes annoyed at you. So you have multiple people who are, in there for violent crimes. Basically, if you mind your own business and you're not in trouble for something, people tend not to mess with you. So if you're a snitch or a child molester, people are going to mess with you, and no matter what you do, you could be the nicest guy in the world, people are going to start messing with you. But yeah, so I was never like a dorm boss or anything like that. I was never a shot caller and stuff like that. But I didn't have any problems in prison.
Well, how about that? Gary, I just read this. Man.
Great, Gary.
I just read this. Henry2817 said, "I used to argue with him
Khalil,
on his stream yard
Yeah,
about Christianity. It's crazy. I never would have known." I know it's sometimes that's how it is. I thought he was a good guy, but then it turns out he was.
Yeah, but I mean, if you
molesting
listen a little closer, it's, well, as long as it's not boys, it's.
I mean, seriously, he has somebody confronts him about what he did, if he did indeed molest a child, and he's like, no, it's not a boy.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're all clear on the person I molested. I mean, the person that I'm accused of, let's just say it's not a boy. So it's not quite halal, but it's halal-ish.
It would be terrible if it was a boy. It's not a boy. I want to make that clear.
I'm halal-ish.
Yeah. I'm still doing the right thing here.
Halal certified-ish.
Yeah. I'm not entirely doing a wrong thing. Only a little bit. Yeah. Terrible, man. Captain Christian said, "If your gut feeling tells you there is something wrong with an Abdul, listen to it." Well, this wasn't even a super chat. I just wanted to respond to this before, but I don't really want to respond to it anymore. I don't really make a distinction between what the person believes and what they hold for a worldview when judging whether something is wrong with them or not. But in this case, I don't know, man. Omega Resetsu said, "These people with their death threats act as though America is not a country of God and guns. Yahweh made men, men made guns. Sach shalom aleichem." Yeah. What do you say, David?
I guess they're talking about the guys earlier when they're I'd hit him in the face, blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, try that in Texas, boy. What? Try that in Texas, see what happens to you.
Yeah. I sometimes feel like I would like to practice. Never mind, I'm not going to go there now. St. Miles said, "Interesting show. Gotta go." Thank you, St. Miles, as always. Thank you for your contributions.
He can't hear you. He can't hear you. He's gone. He said so.
Yeah. Oh no.
Ha! We didn't like you anyway, St. Miles. You can't hear us. What?
Varun said, "AP, could you do it because you are Allah yourself?" You could do it because you are Allah yourself. You could do what? I don't know. Yeah.
So,
I ripped up the Quran because I lost something. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, some comments are like people comment right when we do something, and
Yeah,
then we don't remember what the actual content.
It was probably about something like the ripping up the Quran or something. I don't know. Basic said, "Stop ripping up the Holy Quran. I call upon the power of the Holy Whale Liwash to smite AP and David Wood. May Allah come to you in the form of horse sweat." Yeah, the whale is actually something that is found in Muslim traditions, where, according to early Islamic thoughts, according to Muhammad, according to Ibn Abbas, according to early Muslims, the earth was on the back of a whale. Allah placed it on the back of a whale, which is why he put trees and mountains on it to level the earth and prevent it from falling down and falling over. And that whale had different names, and this whale here is in question.
And that whale occasionally gets annoyed and he starts flipping around a little bit, and that's what earthquakes are, and that's why Allah has to set down the mountains, because they're like tent pegs that keep everything from flopping all over the place.
Precisely. Which, of course, is entirely scientific. John Spot said, "Rise and Fall, the Justin Downing story. A full-length documentary on EA Dawa will be out at the end of the month. Contact James is Tired for details." Oh, well, that sounds interesting.
We know James is tired, so yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yep. Wardoon said, "I understand Abdel Fattah predicament. It takes its toll on you to pretend to be Muslim when you are not. It's depressing indeed psychologically." I know too. I know that as well. It's pretty terrible. So I wish him all the best, and everybody else who is in such a situation where they have to pretend to be a Muslim. Oh, here.
Oh, there's James.
Speaking of him, James is tired. Hey, James, what's up? I didn't want to mention his name, but he's been on top of this whole issue with EA Dawa and everything from the very beginning. He also informed me about the developments, but since he's making himself public here, I would happily like to give him the credit. He said, "I know the case. If you have any questions."
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been bothered or disturbed by anything during this live stream, don't blame us. Blame James is tired. He's the one who set everything in motion. So,
oh boy. James is Tired said, "Apostate Prophet, I'm doing a video tomorrow with clips of Khalilullah and others discussing the case." Good. I will follow up, and I will probably also share that. James is actually, he has a history and a friendship with many of the people who were atheists, Christians, and Muslims discussing on a smaller scale religion. And he also had a long history with this guy, Justin Downing, or Khalilullah, who was now convicted for child abuse or sexual abuse of a child. He's also the one who put me in contact with Justin and who made it possible for us to have a live discussion about Islam. Of course, he had no idea that while all of this was happening, that guy Justin was sexually abusing a child at home. So he is disgusted by all of this too, and he is following and sharing stuff about it. And I'm pretty sure he feels like he has a responsibility here, and I'm very happy that he has informed me and the public about all that is happening.
And yeah, I guess we'll be hearing from EA Dawa in about 12 to 16 years or so.
Unless
more on that.
Unless
he changes his mind and actually studies while he's locked up. Although, as I pointed out, Islam will be his only source of safety while he's locked up, because that is the only group that's going to protect a child molester. I wonder why.
Yep. I was looking for a comment. That's why I'm stalling right now. Who was that? Where was the comment?
Oh, I'll just say while you're looking for the comment, for anyone who tuned in after the beginning when we were talking about this stuff, there is a link to a GoFundMe that is for E.A. Dawa's wife. To her
It
credit,
is still
yeah,
pinned. Yeah, it
yeah,
is still pinned in the chat.
yeah, she did. She's the one who turned him in. We talked about how that must have been very difficult because that's she. One, it's embarrassing. It's easy to try and sweep these things under the rug, but she actually went to the authorities and so on. And she's he's going to. He's of course going to prison over this, but that also simultaneously makes things more difficult on her. So there is a GoFundMe there. So if you can help her out, I'm sure anything will help a little bit.
I will also share this in the on my community tab again to get some help. If anybody, if people feel generous to help her in this difficult situation, she's the primary victim together with her daughter. Please help. You can find the link in the description, in the chat right now, and I will also post it later on one more time. Somebody said something like, why did Top G convert? AP, can you save Top G? And I was just going to say about that. First off, whether somebody like Andrew Tate converts to Islam or not, here it is. Somebody like Andrew Tate converts to Islam or not, I would find a person like him completely annoying and terrible and reprehensible. Even without hearing about all the terrible stuff that he actually did, like, luring women into his business and then turning them into online porn slaves while having sex with them at home, and then basically exploiting them and taking their money and lying to them about their earnings and so on. Not allowing them to leave, putting them under emotional pressure, taking their passports away and keeping them for himself. And so even if I didn't know about these things, I would think, what a terrible, horrible, cringeworthy, idiotic individual. So I'm definitely not the right person to ask here. But since it is Andrew Tate, I would say Andrew Tate is not somebody who would accept the guidance or help from people like us, or from people like me anyway. He would probably sit there and try and start mocking me and say stuff like, why don't you beg me? Do you feel bad that you're not as great and fantastic and as rich as I am? So I don't know what to say about.
No, and if you look at, because he's been praising Islam for a while, but the things he's been praising Islam for is, hey, they know how to keep their women in line, keep their women in check, beat their women into submission, and they're the ones. According to Andrew Tate, we're talking about here. He had all these clips where he was saying that Muslims are the ones who will kill you. And he said, I don't condemn that. I take that as a strength. They will kill you. If you make fun of Muhammad, you'll be dead before the end of the block. And so he's praising stuff like that. So when someone has that mindset, like he doesn't think like us, right? The sorts of things that we listen to are not the sorts of things that he's paying attention to. And then there's a question, of course, of whether he really believes this, or if he just realizes he wants a community that's going to protect. Note, same as I said about E.A. Dawa. There is precisely one group in prison. There is one. I've never even heard of another group that's going to protect a child molester. Islam is the only ideology that will protect a child molester. As long as he's a Muslim, you're clear. But notice, Andrew Tate, there's precisely one religion on the planet that will protect you and even praise you and treat you as a hero if you've been sex trafficking women for years. There's one. And shocker, he converted to that one. Yeah, surprising. What do we say to that? Leave the religion that protects sex traffickers like you? What's left for him then? He would have to abandon his sex trafficking. He doesn't want to do that. That's a source of revenue.
Okay, I just posted this on my channel as well. But yeah, no, definitely, I've always despised people like Andrew Tate. I will say that very openly here. I guess if you know me a little bit, you can probably tell why. And his praising and eventual conversion to Islam, together with everything that came out about him, was just added to to me despising him even more. I
And
think
do,
he's a horrible being. People should not look up to such individuals.
and do you remember his brother whining, saying, because I think his brother has converted while they were locked up, but before that he was whining. He was going, Andrew Tate, he gets thousands of letters from Muslims while he's in here, and not one single Christian is writing me, even though I'm a Christian. It's like, you're sex traffickers. If a Christian writes you, he's going to say, "Hey, you need to turn away from that stuff." Not our hero, or we love you. You're really putting these women in their places, right?
He was basically saying Muslims are supporting my brother no matter what in the world we did, no matter what kind of horrible things we did and we are accused of, but no Christian is supporting me no matter what we did. What is going on here? What a telling declaration there, right?
Sure is.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. So with that said, I think we have said enough today. Ivan Juarez said, "Why was Andrew Tate released?" Quick clarification here: he was not released.
Yes,
he was
went
put
to house
under
arrest. Yeah,
he went to house arrest. So the investigation against him is ongoing. Everything is ongoing. Nothing changed. He has just been placed in house arrest because his appeal, not to be detained forever, succeeded. So they placed him in house arrest instead. He has not been released, and I'm pretty sure he will not get away after lots of the stuff he said and did. Yeah. And with that said, I want to thank everybody for watching. And
very quickly, we are going to be going live on my channel tomorrow. Since it is Easter, we're going to be talking. I've had some interesting discussions recently, and we've talked about it a little bit about how. I mean, there's always been a minority of Muslims who didn't believe that the Quran is actually denying the crucifixion of Jesus, and there are many Muslims today who don't believe the Quran is denying the crucifixion of Jesus. So we went through some of the reasons that they may actually be right, and the Quran may be saying something very different from what most people think it's saying. And so we went through that, but a lot of these passages also include, after suggesting that Jesus died, they say something about Allah raising him. And so tomorrow, since it's Easter, we're going to talk about whether the Quran actually says Jesus rose from the dead. So that should be some fun stuff. And right after this, there is some friends are live over on LISO Elohim's channel. So I'm going to head over there. I don't know how long they'll be going. They might be wrapping up, or they might be wrapping up here pretty soon. But I'm going to go over there and.
Will you talk about boring stuff over there?
No, it's going to be super dope stuff.
Oh, okay.
Not going to be all this boring stuff you always talk about. Well, oh, look at me, I'm ripping up the Quran. Ooh, so brave.
So brave. Wow. I'm ripping up a book.
Amazing.
Wow, ripping up a book. Wow, look. Wow.
Hey, let me see if I actually have privileges here to share a link. No, I don't. Wait, did the link share? Do you see a link from me? It shouldn't, because I'm not listed as a. How am I not a moderator on your channel?
I don't even know who you are.
All right, I'm posting test. Make me a moderator.
Okay, post test. Test.
Did you see test?
What is this? Apologetics. What is apologetic? Yeah. Yes. I made you a moderator now. Yes.
Am I a moderator? Yes or no? Oh, yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay. Here's the link. Here's a link to a live stream I'm going to go to as soon as we finish here.
You're finished.
Make me mod, boy. Progressive Overload said, "Make me mod, boy."
Oh boy. Okay. So tomorrow we will be live on David Wood's channel, and David will now be live on a different boring channel, and we will get together again next week, and there will be a lot of stuff to talk about again. Once more, I shared a link to the GoFundMe in the chat, and I also shared it in the description, and I also shared it on the YouTube community tab. So if you want to support, go on there and support. And so click the link and support it, or whatever Mohammed Hijab would say in the situation. I should use that as telling people to support this channel. I should just add him saying, click the link. Yeah.
And click the link because that will give you the hikmah. Do you want the hikmah?
Oh boy. Yeah. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll be together again some other time. And is there anything else you want to say, David?
Yeah, stay away from little girls.
Yes. And
stay away from Islam.